Let me tell you something, young men and young ladies, if you raised your hand. The movie The Black Panther is about a superhero, is that correct? These are real life superheroes. They were drawing pictures of the Panther.
Again, my name is Dwayne Wright. I am a native of York, 1990 graduate of York High. This afternoon we had a panel discussion presentation up at the high school where this all took place. 1968, the day after Dr. King was assassinated, they had a walkout. Now, it was sort of very fitting that the walkout that the students had at York High, March 14th, was National Walkout Day in response to the shooting down in Parkland, Florida, as well as the National March for Our Lives they had down in Washington. And I said, wow, these students, our current students at York High, are engaged. They're aware of what's going on and they're taking a stand. So I was watching some things on Facebook, and they had their march on the 14th when they walked out of school, and they had a little program out on the park, and the officer, Officer Muldrow, said, this is the first time, he was congratulating the students, this is the first time, York High students ever walked out. In my mind, I'm like, man, this guy doesn't know his history. And I said, and that sort of lit a fire in me. He said, we definitely need to bring this to the forefront. And it's 50 years, and I said, man, and I've gone, I lived in Georgia, Florida, Cleveland, West Virginia, and I'm sort of home right now. And I said I wanted to encourage the school, the city, to recognize the people who made an impact. Made an impact on me, made an impact on the school system, the city itself, and we had this little celebration this afternoon. And I talked to Brother Drayton about doing the program here for several reasons. To open up to the community, but I was telling him that many of the participants were CA kids, grew up in the CA, and the CA had an impact on their lives. Taught them things, not only about themselves, about being proud of who they are, because they had some strong individuals that were leaders at the CA that influenced these folks. So I said it's sort of fitting that we sort of bring it back to the CA, where a number of these individuals sort of cut their teeth in their growing up. So I have a couple of slides I want to share with you, and then we'll have a discussion with folks here in the audience who participated, but also want to engage others who may have been from different classes, because we know that the 68 seniors were influenced by their siblings or their family members or friends from earlier classes, and they were also pushed by their underclassmen, friends and family members as well. So at this time, I would like those participants to sort of come up to the table and share some insight about what they attempted to do, what they did, and where can we sort of go from here.
Good evening. It's my turn. My name is Juanita Kirkland, and I'm from the class of 1969 from good old York High. You young folk back there, I want to thank you for being so patient, sitting there listening to what's being said. I hope you're hearing what's being said. How many of you have seen the movie The Panther? Let me tell you something, young men and young ladies, if you raised your hand. The movie The Black Panther is about a superhero, is that correct? These are real life superheroes. They were drawing pictures of the Panther before that movie even was thought about and being made. These are your real heroes. You have a lot of them walking around in your community today. And if you don't know them, the best thing I can advise you to do is just respect your elders, because most of them are your heroes. These folks have laid the groundwork for the class of 1969 and all the classes that followed. There were things that didn't happen from 1968 and before that once and finally came to fruition at the high school, at our high school, at William Penn or York High, whichever you want to call it. It's our high school and we are Bearcats.
Okay.
What I got from the class of 1969, I sat and I watched and I learned. When it was time for us to do the things that they laid the foundation for, to have class officers, to have more than one homecoming queen, and now you have queens and kings. It wouldn't have been possible unless these folks stood up and demanded that we had a fair and equal opportunity to participate in those activities. I participated in programs such as the Utopian Literary Society. That was truly known as a white society at the high school. Not anymore. But you know, you have to be careful and you have to protect the rights that you gain, because if they see you gaining too much, they'll take it away. There's no more Utopian Literary Society at the high school. So think about those things when you go to school. You fight for the things that you want. When I say fight, I mean use your mind to fight. You go to class, you learn, and you pay attention. And please don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. That's what they used to tell us, but the class of 1968 changed that for us, and I want you to adhere to what you learned and what you hear here today. I'm proud of the class of 1968. They were big shoes to fill, and our class in 1969 said, oh man, we got to do better than the class of 1968, but that was a hard thing to do because their battle was different. We had a battle, you'll have a battle, but your battle is yours. But you have to stand up and have the courage to fight it. That's all I have to say.